You know the old saying, you never get a second chance to make a great first impression? That is what you need to keep in mind when we're talking about how you introduce yourself at an interview. It is so important that you make that solid first impression at any interview you go to so that you just wow that interviewer into wanting to hear more from you to impress the pants off them in that interview. So today's video, we are going to talk about how you introduce yourself at an interview so that you make the best first impression you can possibly make so that you are the only candidate they are thinking about for the job you're applying for. Hello everyone, my name is Glassford. I am founder of My Practice Interview. If you like these videos, please ring the bell, subscribe, send me email content. It motivates me to create more content for you so that you can land the job of your dreams. That is my sole motivation in doing these videos. I want you to succeed. Your success is my success and makes me nothing but happy to provide you insider tips, advice, guidance on the interview process. So, are you ready to get into how to introduce yourself in an interview? I am. Ready? Let's go. So today we're talking about how you introduce yourself in an interview. I have got 3 very simple tips as to how you go about doing this with an actual script. Yes, an actual script that you can follow and tailor to help you prepare for that inevitable introduction and what you're going to say about yourself to make that first impression. So let's get right into it with tip number 1. Prepare for a positive first impression. Now, what do I mean by that? Preparation is key to any interview process. How you prepare for making that first impression is absolutely crucial. Like I said, about creating a lasting impact so that that hiring manager wants to keep hearing the words coming out of your mouth and that experience as it relates to the position that you're applying for. So by creating a positive first impression and preparing for it is very, very simple, but it must be done in advance of that interview. So preparation comes down to making sure you research the company, research the people you're going to be meeting with for that interview. That is important that you have that knowledge and background so you can help craft incredible responses to questions like, tell me about yourself. Rehearse your intro. So important. Rehearsing your intro is very, very key that you are comfortable hearing the words coming out of your mouth about why you're interested in the role, why you want to join that company, what skills and experiences you have to join that organization, and even simply just introducing yourself is important. So you want to rehearse that in advance and choose what to wear is the last one around this. Don't leave that to the last minute. Don't leave that to the day of. Choosing what you wear is very key because it's purposeful in making that first impression when you get to the interview so that you know what you're wearing is appropriate for that interview and you're creating that solid impression. So do those things in advance. That's all part of your preparation. Tip number 2, create a positive first impression. So we've talked about preparing a first impression. Now you're creating that positive first impression. So when you are at that interview, when you enter the building for the interview that you're about to attend, make sure you're there 20 minutes in advance. 20 minutes is what you need to make sure you can get there, you're in the right place, you've introduced yourself at reception, that you're here for an interview, you're sitting down, you're trying to relax, calm those nerves, and mentally preparing for that interview. That 20 minutes is key versus being rushed, kind of flying in at the last minute and being all flustered in that interview. So be there 20 minutes early. Make sure you're courteous to all that you meet in the interview, prior to the interview, during the interview, and after the interview. What does that mean? Well, us HR people, we like to find out what you're like when you haven't met just the hiring manager or us HR people. How you treating the people you're interacting with in our office, in our environment. How you treat that receptionist is an indicator as to how you may be outside of the kind of constrictions of an interview process. So be courteous to everyone you meet, be polite, be professional, make sure you're smiling, showing that enthusiasm. Do not disregard people just because you don't think they're part of that interview process and you don't have to make a solid first impression. Every impression you make is important. Every impression that you leave with that employer could make or break whether you get offered that job. Make sure you're dressed professionally. We talked about this in your preparation stage. Now at that interview, make sure you're dressed professionally. Showing that you're dressed professionally shows interest and shows courtesy towards that employer and shows that professionalism. Professional dress attire is key for every interview you go to, so make sure you're dressed for the role that you're applying for. If you want tips on how to dress for your interview, look here, there's a video for men, and look here, there's a video for women, both going through how to dress for every type of interview you could possibly face. Make sure when you meet the interview panel, you're shaking hands. That is so important. You shake hands. I've seen it so many times, people come in and just kind of go, hi, how nice to meet you, fist bump, none of that stuff. You're shaking hands in that interview, making sure you're introducing yourself properly to every panel member. Now, when you introduce yourself, have a bit of a script that you've prepared for in advance. I'm going to talk about this here in a second, but make sure you're rehearsed as to how you want to introduce yourself. And here's something just super simple that you can copy and say and make it your own. So simple introductions here. I'm Clark Glassford and I'm here for the sales manager position. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I look forward to learning more about the role. It is literally that simple. Just have a nice, strong statement that you can say when you walk into that interview room, when you meet that receptionist, or whoever you're meeting with, and introducing yourself. Make sure you use that just to portray confidence and excitement in the role. Last piece I'm going to say on this, only sit when invited to be seated. That's an important piece here. Don't just walk in, quickly sit down, and hopefully they're hoping they're just going to jump right into the interview. Stand, talk, make small talk. When they introduce you to go and sit, then that's when you go and sit, but don't do that. Don't do it before. Okay? Now, say a positive first impression. This is really important. When you get finally seated in that interview and the small talk is over, typically the first question that's going to come out of that interviewer's mouth is, tell us about yourself. Maybe they might say, walk us through your resume. This is where you just get to elaborate on your specific skills as it relates to the role that you've applied for. Remember, I've got a script on this. I'm going to go through it here in a minute. That say is so important. Say a positive first impression means you've got to practice this in advance. Just like all the other answers to every other preparation type question you're preparing for an interview, you want to make sure you have this down as to what you want to say about yourself and how it relates to the employer that you're applying to. Now, there is a formula that I want you to follow here. Very, very simply put, what you want to talk about is your present, so current present roles as it relates to the position you've applied for, your past roles, so those roles that you've had in the past that have skills that you've learned from that can apply to the position that you're interested in here. Future, so what are you hoping to achieve for yourself professionally, and how you can bring that to this employer so they get excited about you. And then you want to leave with some personal information about yourself. So you don't want to be all robotic and all business-like in the interview. Yes, that's important that you connect the dots in terms of how your skills align with what they're looking for, but you also want to leave them with a little bit of personal information about yourself that might set you apart from other applicants and keep them interested into who you are. Now, remember, like I said, I've got a script. I'm going to go through this script with you and how you can say it in the interview with enthusiasm, with positivity, and this is something that you can use to tailor to your own and make sure it lands beautifully when you get into that interview and you make that just killer first impression. Now you've got the hook in them. Now they want to hear more about you. So here we go. Let's go through that script. So starting with present, here we go. In my current role, I've developed a strong sense of leadership and have been able to motivate my teams to achieve success, such as leading a team to improve customer satisfaction scores by 20%. My teams have also achieved overall engagement scores of over 70%, the highest in the company. In addition to leading successful teams, I'm also experienced in change management and have successfully implemented new processes and systems that have streamlined the way we do business. I believe my leadership skills will be an asset to this role and your company. Now let's talk about the past. Prior to this, I've worked in various customer service roles throughout my career, from hospitality to healthcare. I've developed excellent communication and problem-solving skills, and I'm excited to bring these skills to a new role in a different industry. Throughout my customer service career, I've learned how to effectively communicate with people from all walks of life. This has helped me to build strong relationships with customers and colleagues alike, and I'm excited to continue this approach in a new role. Specifically at ABC Inc., I was able to decrease medical wait times while increasing customer care. I'm very proud of this achievement. Now, let's move into talking about the future. I've always been interested in technology and have spent the past 5 years leading teams in utilizing technology to become more efficient. I've been involved in several projects that have improved the user experience and saved the company significant time and resources. I'm excited to continue to innovate and to contribute in this industry. I'm always looking for new ways to innovate and improve products and services. You will see on my resume, in my last role, I developed a new app feature that increased user engagement by 25%. I'm excited to bring this creative problem-solving approach to a new company. This role seems like an ideal fit. I've made the linkage to the company, the role, and I've shown my excitement here. Now let's conclude this with the personal side. Outside of the office, I'm an avid reader and I love to hike. On weekends, you might find me at a local bookstore or exploring hiking trails in the area. Spending time with my family is also very important to me. Now we conclude the entire opening statement you've just made here as with this script. I'm happy to expand on anything I've just discussed and learn more about this position. Now you want to finish with that final statement because whatever you've said, you may have intrigued them, and that's what you're hoping to do with a number of things they may want to have follow-up questions on. So make sure you leave it open that they can have follow-up questions based on what you've just said. Now, chances are they're going to ask you a whole bunch of interview questions after this. They'll be able to highlight some of the things you said in that opening statement, but leave it open so that they can ask you follow-ups. That is how you create a positive first impression. That is how you introduce yourself in that interview so that you just come out of the gates absolutely looking like a superstar. They don't think about any other applicant that's applied to this position. They have their eyes solely set on you, and you have them eating, those managers eating out of the palm of your hands for this position now that you've set the stage for what's to come for the rest of your interview. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Look at my YouTube channel, tons and tons of content there for you to look at how you prepare for the rest of your interview. You can find the channel here in the links or just go in the description below. But this is a great way for you to start off your interview on the right foot. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Until next time, we'll see you then.